The 2020 Shelby GT500 runs a 10.6. And Ford was a little sneaky on those horsepower numbers. Let me explain. First, if you're new here and you like keeping up on the automotive news or just keeping up on automotive trends and conversation, make sure you hit that subscribe button to follow along. So we have some new information on the 2020 GT500 and they are impressive numbers. 10.6, and no, that is not the quarter mile time. That is 0 to 100 and back to 0. That is impressive. That is almost supercar numbers. As a matter of fact, last I checked, that was faster than the Porsche 997 Turbo. And it is in the same range and very, very close to the ZR1 Corvette. I know what everybody's going to say. Well, you can't compare a Mustang to a Porsche and you can't compare a Mustang to a Corvette. We're going to touch on that topic too. But you're absolutely right, you can't. All I'm doing is expressing how fast that really is. Now, speaking of fast, when you're doing 100 miles an hour and getting back down to 0 as fast as possible, you're going to have the best set of brakes you can. And the Shelby GT500 has 16.5-inch rotors up front. That is the largest rotor in domestic sports car ever. I don't understand how anyone can fit a 16.5-inch rotor on a car. I mean, I thought the wheel would have to be 22 inches in order to do that, but apparently I'm wrong. I don't know. Anyway, that's a huge rotor. That's absolutely astronomical. But I guess it would have to be to bring a 4,000-pound car from 100 to 0 in just 3.9 seconds. I don't know the exact weight. I think it's 4,000, maybe a little over 4,000. I'm not sure. But not only is this the most powerful Mustang ever produced, it's probably also the heaviest. Speaking of horsepower, 760 horsepower was what Ford advertised. What they didn't tell you is the actual gross horsepower of the engine is 850. Now there's some parasitic loss with a supercharger. I'm not 100% sure how they configured all these numbers, but they did state the gross horsepower was 850. 0 to 62, I don't understand why it's 62. It should be 60. But they said, now I'm getting tongue-tied. They said 0 to 62 in 3.5 seconds. 0 to 100 in 6.7. That's insane. I drive a Nissan Altima to work, and I can't go 0 to 60 in that time. 0 to 100, back to 0 in 10.6. I mean, that's just mind-blowing. That is mind-blowing to me. And if that does not impress you, I'm not sure what would. Now, a lot of R&D has gone into this car because to make 850 or so horsepower, it definitely needs a really good cooling system, and Ford went to extreme lengths to make sure that happens with larger radiators, fans, everything in the front, which also adds to the weight, but it's necessary to keep an engine like that cool. They said that was one of the problems they had with making that much horsepower. Now, the starting price on the car is $73,000 and change. And with the carbon package and the track pack and everything else, it's probably going to come up around $95,000 or so dollars, give or take. I'm ballparking. Add dealer markup. It's definitely going to have dealer markup because it is a limited production car. It's a special car. It's not going to be mass produced. So you're going to have a very large dealer markup. It's going to exceed $100,000. No question about it. So now I'm going to address the elephant in the room and ask, why are we comparing this to the C8 Corvette? I don't see any reason to compare this Shelby GT500 to the new C8 Corvette or to the new Toyota Supra. But yet for some reason we're doing that. I mean, I think I even did it a couple of videos ago, but why are we comparing these three cars? None of them are in the same class. None of them are competing with each other. But yet, because prices are similar, I guess we'll say they're close enough. The Shelby GT500 and the C8 are pretty close in price. We're going to compare them. That's a stupid reason to compare something, because guess what? You take a fully loaded diesel truck these days and it's going to be about the same price tag too. So are we going to start comparing diesel trucks to sports cars and supercars? That's about as ridiculous as it sounds to me. You're taking three different cars from three different categories and trying to have them compete against each other. None of these cars have anything in common. But yet, everyone wants to say this car is better than that car and this car is better than that car. In what way? Like I said, you spend, we're going to say starting price is $60,000 on the Corvette, which you know isn't going to happen, because by the time you put all your add-ons in there and check that Z51 mark, because you need that to get the 0 to 60 times they advertise, it's going to be in the $80-some thousand range. Okay, yes, it's still cheaper than Gt500, but the thing is, again, two totally different classes. You're talking about a mass-produced mid-engine, God forbid I say supercar, versus a very heavy front-engine, high-horsepower Mustang. They do two totally different things. They shouldn't be compared. Now, let's go over to the Supra, which is a twin-turbo inline six. How are you going to compare that to the Shelby or the Corvette? The problem with these cars is that they came out at the same time. Had these cars come out a year apart from each other, they would have been the greatest thing since sliced bread. But unfortunately, one's being overshadowed by the other. The bottom line here, guys, you got to take all these cars, separate them, and look at them for what they are. The Shelby Gt500 is probably the best Mustang ever produced. It's going to be a limited production car. It's going to be hard to get. If you do get your hands on it, there's going to be ridiculous markups. Yeah, I am a fan of Mustangs, Shelby's particular. I've always been a fan of Shelby. But are we crossing a line with charging $100,000 for a Mustang? I think we might actually be on that boat. Anyway, I'm starting to drag on. The Shelby is an impressive car. Maybe it's your cup of tea, maybe it's not. But for right now, that's about all I've got to say about the GT500. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I'll catch you next time.